decided to put a new pedal board together this year with the help of my friends at XTS, or Exact Tone Solutions. They're an amazing company that does a bunch of custom rigs and pedal boards for touring musicians and session musicians all around town. They do tremendous work. You can see how clean of a job they do with all the wiring and the power and everything. It's pretty tremendous. So it's a pretty basic board. We'll walk through it at the very end, but the whole sort of purpose of this video was to talk about getting great reverb and delay sounds with the help of the Keeley Hydra and Keeley Halo. You know, so often we see, reverb and delay demos with the kind of sounds we'll never use. Big, lush reverbs or big, ping-ponging delays. Well, we want basic stuff. We want slap echoes. We want short delays that work good in a barroom setting or just jamming with our friends. And the same goes for reverbs too. So we're going to do that. We're going to focus on how to get some really basic usable delay sounds and really basic usable reverb sounds from the Hydra and the Halo. So I know a lot of you will ask about all the other pedals and how I'm using them, so we'll take a quick tour of that at the end of the video too. So I'll jam a little bit in the next clip. All the sounds you're hearing are coming from this board, whether it's overdrive, delay, reverb, rotary speaker. Everything that I play in that track came from this board. And of course, I'll make that track available in the links below, as well as provide links for all of the gear on the board. Everything we talk about will be covered in the links below. Check it all out, see if the gear's right for you. All right, so let's start with some simple delay settings here. I want to dial up a slap echo for us, and slap echo for me is something I never turn off. It's on probably 95% of the time. It makes my guitar sound bigger, fuller, a little more three-dimensional. I love playing with it. And we're going to dial it in, obviously, with the Halo pedal, but we're going to use all the functions on here, aside from the rate and depth. We'll talk about those as well a little bit, but not too deep. Now, time is going to be the adjustment for when you play the guitar, how long does that note take to regenerate? Feedback is how many of those regenerations or repeats are we going to get? And then the level is how loud are those delay trails going to be in comparison to your normal guitar signal or volume. Now, if I just play this here, hear lots of trails, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's repeating in quarter notes because I have the quarter note setting here. Now, this pedal is really cool because you can be basic or you can go deep, and you can access all these different rhythms on this knob by holding that Alt button down. You hold this knob down, and then you twist that, and you can get different types of rhythmic repeats, which is a whole other thing we can talk about too. But for now, we're on the quarter note, and you can hear that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want that. I actually want the delays to be much shorter. I'm going to pull the time way back. That's not bad. And I also want to pull the feedback knob down because I only want one repeat, and I'm going to turn the level up just for adjustment's sake. So you hear there's only one, and it's very short. So let's make it even shorter. Somewhere in the middle there. Now I'm going to bring the level control way back. Let's bring it up a little more. Right, I could even bring a little more level in. Let's try a little more, see what happens. Now if I take it out, keep in mind I have a little bit of reverb on from the Hydra, just a little bit of spring reverb, just so it's not totally stale. But there's no, if I turn the delay off, listen to that. Bring it back. That's where I want to bring this back some. So you can see why I can't live without it. It makes my guitar a little bit fuller and a little bit fatter. Now the Halo pedal has the ability to save that into a preset slot, which is really, really cool. And that's what I did actually. So I really want to make sure you're hearing the impact of these effects and what they do to your tone. This is no delay, no reverb. Uninspiring. Just a smidge of reverb. And now the slap. You know, even if I'm kind of, you know, like a Keith Richards kind of thing. It just makes it more fun if I turn it off. It's not as inspiring, you know? And that's what was inspiring those players back then, was playing in a room and hearing the reflections of their amps sound around them. And then, you know, they might have pulled out a tape echo, like an Echoplex or something like that, and put it in line. But this Halo pedal does a bunch of that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to show you a quick way to dial up a setting that is totally usable, especially for folks probably watching this channel who are into blues, rock, maybe country, more traditional guitar sounds, as opposed to, you know, big atmospheric stuff. But we can do that, and we can kind of take our delay to another level to where we're actually hearing a longer repeat. So let's do that with the next example I'm going to show you. So let's dial up a little longer setting. Again, this is very basic. This isn't going to be wacky. We're not doing any Pink Floyd or anything right now. This is just if we're playing some tunes, we want a nice sort of repeated sound after us with a little three-dimensional cushion. This will do it. I have a longer delay still on the quarter note setting. And we're going to make sure it's only a single repeat. And that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 milliseconds, which I always relate to Eddie Van Halen. He would use a delay, like an Echoplex delay, and have that one repeat, not as short as a slap echo, but pretty short. Thought I was going to play some Van Halen. No, I'm not going to do that. And it's cool, it's just kind of bubbling under there. I can bring the level back even more. It's tough with the internet because we want to hear it, but we don't want it to be obtrusive. Here when I stop playing, it kind of arises. If you're playing a... kicking some more gain. It adds a little more space without going nuts and being uncontrollable. That's what's really cool. Now, I found out through the magic of the internet and apps and that sort of thing, you can get a calculator that says 300 milliseconds is equal to 200 beats per minute. So let's say you knew that and you tapped in 200 beats per minute on your metronome. We can hold down the tap tempo function here. You just hold down on this pedal the sound that you're on. It timed out on me there. And we're gonna tap it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna stop that. And if I turn my feedback up, we'll hear a bunch of repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Let's try it again. Pretty close. It's not gonna ever be, you know, 100% in time, but if we pull that back, we still get those repeats and a little bit of that, you know, three-dimensional quality and that atmosphere without overdoing it, okay? So those are the two, like, real basic things you can do. If I wanted to save that, I could save that to that, which I might do. I like that sound. But again, you can see that I'm just kind of playing around with the level adjustment. How loud do I want that delay? How much feedback or how many repeats do I want? And then of course the time. And if you don't have to use the time knob, you can use the tap switch if your delay pedal has one. Otherwise, you'll have to kind of go manually and drag the knob and see if you can match it up to the you know, repeat length that you want. So there's a couple other things I want to show you just because it's fun for the Halo pedal, but those are two basic ones to get you started. So let's say you buy the Halo pedal and you're like, man, I get it, Corey. I have those two sounds dialed up. show me some other fun stuff I can do with it. Well, so let's do that. And again, we'll do stuff that's kind of usable that you might be able to actually put into a song or have fun with when you're playing, just in general, regardless of the music that you're playing. So far we have everything as it stands from the previous example, except what I did was I moved presets. If you look at this red light, I'm in preset 2, delay A. I can do that by hitting both of these buttons at the same time, and it steps me through my presets. So I'm on 2A, and what that gives me is the Andy Timmons halo setting. Essentially, that's 2 delays playing at the same time, a quarter note and a dotted eighth, and it gives you this really interesting sound. You might not use this right off, you might not play this with this sound, but just want you to hear it. Crazy, right? But what Andy wants is a sound, so when you're playing padded chords or holding chords out, it almost creates like this little dreamy reverb. You can hear when that kind of setting is engaged, doing single line stuff might not be as cool. It's fun, but really the padding is where it's at. Now what you could do is while those trails are happening, we can look at the rate and depth controls and start to play around with what those mean. So if I play that chord again, hear all that warbliness going on? That's the rate, that's the speed of which that's affecting that. If I turn it all the way up, crazy, right? And some people, want to mess around with that, and some people don't. But what sounds really cool is if you take the depth control, turn it up a bit, have the rate down, creates this fun swirly environment behind you. I could turn both those down and none of it would be affecting the trails. Turn it up and you'll hear it. So that's also simulating, a couple things. The main thing is it's got sort of that warble that would happen to old tape machines. They had that effect on the old Deluxe Memory Mans as well. So it's a great option that Keeley has thrown in. Lots of delay companies or companies that make delay pedals are doing that. But again, such a small footprint, lots of options there. So that's really fun. All right, so now let's dial up some basic reverb settings in a way that we did with the Halo pedal for delay. We're just going to use spring sounds, plate sounds, and room sounds. That's what's on board of the Keeley Hydra pedal, because frankly, that's kind of all I'm using in a live situation. Frankly, in the studio, I probably don't need much more than that either. There's nothing too terribly wacky that we'll dive into, but we can go there if we want. Again, we're talking about basic settings that we would use in just sort of a contemporary manner: blues, rock, R&B, country, stuff like that. So the Hydra pedal also has a preset mode as well, and you double tap that switch and you can select which preset bank you want. And when you see all the lights lit up, that's what mode we're in here, which is what you see is what you get, is what they call it. So wherever the knobs are at, that's what we're going to be hearing. And if I turn it on with that switch there, no delay is on, you can hear that there is a spring reverb happening. And it's got the classic sort of drip sound you'd expect from a spring reverb. Really, really great sound. And you hear that, all that fluttering going on, it's those springs happening. And we can hear more of that, or we can hear a longer delay or longer reverb sound with the dwell control. Now the dwell and the mixer here are the two basic functions for the reverb setting, and that's what you're gonna find. Level, dwell, decay, things like that. Decay and dwell, probably the same thing. It means how long it takes for the reverb to die. A lower value, a shorter dwell time, and then crazy to the moon reverb if you want to crank it up. But again, if you're doing that Really nice for that. A little aggressive probably for me. I like the sound of it. Might want it a little bit more, but there's a little bit too much of that spring noise happening. So what Keeley allows you to do is take that down by holding the middle function knob and pulling that knob back. It's called the reverb modifier. So now we have less of that spring noise happening. Yeah, I like it. Now I might want to jack up the spring a little bit more. And again, a really good pedal, the harder you play, it kind of reacts to you. So I would, sort of play anywhere, in between the noon, 10, 11 o'clock on the mixer level. But if you're doing that kind of stuff and you want it to sound like an old, Fender amplifier, or if you're wanting to get some surfier sounds, maybe more minor. Those are the sounds synonymous. But again, simple, pull it back on the level, maybe not too long. It's a great place to start. And if you want to change the reverb style, or let's talk about the reverb EQ real quick. Yes, you can EQ reverb. That's a color knob here. And what that does is actually change the actual EQ of the reverb that's happening. So let's change it to plate, and then we'll add that. And you do that with this little toggle switch in the middle. Now it's under plate reverb. And a plate reverb is different than a spring. The sound goes into this box that has these metal plates in it, and that affects the signal, giving you a really cool reverb. Studios use plate reverbs all the time. It's just a really great sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? A reverb that is unobtrusive, just sounds good on everything. Studios love it for every instrument, vocals, drums, acoustic guitar. And again, you gotta watch these long reverbs, especially if you start playing. Although that sounds pretty good. It can get a little out of hand if you don't, watch your level. So if it feels like there's too much, pull the dwell or decay back, whatever you have on your reverb pedal, and then play around with that mix control. So now you hear the reverb and it gets out and it comes back, or it disappears. See what I mean? It's not getting in the way all that much. Now, one fun thing you can do if you want to get wacky, hold that modifier down and turn the mixer knob up, and you're going to get a really sort of modern reverb sound where the reverbs have octaves on them, so it plays octaves above what you play. You can start to hear this sort of, orchestral sound above you. Very angelic. So that's a pretty popular thing nowadays. And sometimes I'll program it for, again, the beginning of a song. Maybe I'll volume swell into it and that sort of thing, but not something I use all the time. Now, the Keeley also has a room reverb on it, which is pretty cool. And again, same function. Mixer, how much reverb, dwell, how long that reverb is. And a room sound is great for a short reverb, and it can make your guitar sound big like the slap echo we showed. Has that more studio type of sound. That one sounds really, really good. And again, if I wanted to, I didn't do it in the plate reverb for you. Sorry, guys. We'll take that color and we're gonna bring it down, and it's gonna get a darker sound to it. Hear that? Hear how the reverb's dark now? And I can make it bright by turning that up. Do that with slide and some overdrive. It's going to be a really, really cool setting. And again, you can change the color, literally, of, not literally, but the sonic color of your reverb reflections, making them darker or brighter. That's a pretty standard thing. So you have this sort of section of knobs here that's going to help you achieve all of those reverb sounds. Quite a lot, just in 3 knobs. The modifier for this is if you push that knob and turn it up, you're going to change the size of the room. So it's a bigger room. So it's a lot of verb. Let's pull that back, see what we get. And let's bring it back even more. Yeah. It really adds a lot of fun character. So, 3 basic reverb settings. Now you can of course save those as presets, and you can double tap that switch and select, whoops, I did it wrong. There we go. Select which preset you want. We were in 4 lights. That means what you see is what you get. Some companies call that knob mode or performance mode. But since we're here, let's hear some tremolo. And we'll go to just a standard sine wave tremolo. And my controls are rate and depth there, similar to our chorus on the delay pedal. I can tap this in. Oops, I did it wrong. Come on, Corey. I can hold that down, and I can tap the tempo of the delay. And I actually have an external switch hooked up to it as well, so I can do that on the fly. So that's just a normal. Now what I can do is I can change and go to more of the harmonic tremolo. You gotta actually hold the reverb, hold the modifier. I know how to use this, trust me, I'm a professional. Then we go there because it gets me a harmonic tremolo. And harmonic tremolos actually change the pitch a bit, almost like a univibe type of sound. Known for that kind of sound with, old Fender brown face amps and that sort of thing. So if I hold it again, switch it one more time, now it gives me this really fun vibrato sound too, which could be really cool if it was slow and deep. Throbbing vibrato sound, right? So lots of stuff on tap in the Hydra. Let's talk about how I get these sounds. We're going to come out of the guitar into the Mythos Argo octave fuzz. We'll hear that in a bit. You like to keep your fuzzes first in line if you can. That's kind of a general rule. Then to the Lehle Volume pedal. This is the first time I've had one of these. Really, really great pedal. I love the feel. I love the taper. Then it goes to the Greer Lightspeed. Actually, I think it's not necessarily in line. Actually, it is direct drive. Sorry, that's a Barber direct drive for my mid gain. My light gain is my Greer amps Lightspeed, which has become a staple in a lot of players' boards. And then the Cornerstone Gladio SE. And this gets me a bunch of different gain sounds. So if I have my clean sound, I'll put this on just for a little light gain amp push. It's kind of an always-on pedal for me, to be honest with you, especially for the kind of gigs I'm doing. But I like to be able to still get a very natural clean if I can, because that qualifies as a sound for me. I also have the Keeley Halo on slap, like we talked about, and I have some plate reverb. So that, with the Lightspeed, so I go to my next gain stage is the Barber direct drive. Great pedal, lots and lots of tone and overdrive on board. And it's very quiet, even though I'm stacking gains, it's light gain. And you'll see that as I do that, I'm strategic about it. Now, if I went to the Gladio, I'll get a little more gain and a little different tone. More bite, a little bit more sustain. And if I wanted to put them all on, it doesn't freak out and sound terribly different tonally or EQ-wise. They all sort of work together. Some people hate that. Some people hate stacking overdrives. But I'll tell you what, when you're in the heat of the battle and you need to go boom, boom, I don't want to put extra taps in there to turn pedals off and turn them on. I like to have stuff that kind of steps its way up in the gain section to really make it feel like my amp is turning up. And any combination of pedals over the years I've used has really done that. I go to this chorus pedal. I'm not a big chorus guy, but this is a great sounding chorus. It's an awesome sounding chorus. And that's probably how I'd use it. You can also use the vibrato on it to get like a nice wide kind of warbly thing. Very, very cool sound. Great pedal, way huge, blue Hippo. From there, now the fuzz I will use with overdrive pedals. I rarely use it by itself, almost never. And it's got a blend control to blend in that high octave in and out. And if I add more drive to it, it still sounds good. Great pedal. Those guys are my buddies. Love the Mythos Argo. From there, the tap switch here will control the Hydra. So I can just have my toe right over the volume pedal. And tap a speed. I might try to sneak a tap pedal in there also for the delay at some point. We'll see what happens. The Rotosonic, great, great rotary speaker. I'm always on the hunt for the best sounding rotary speaker pedal I can get. That's one of the best I've heard. It also does a really great univibe and vibrato as well. So I have like 3 different vibratos on here if I wanted that. And then of course we go to the Halo and then we go to the Hydra, which we talked about earlier. You know, if we turn all this stuff on, you know, we can hear the rotary speaker. It's pretty quiet. Those guys are a wizard with cabling and the right power requirements that makes everything really matter. So there you have it, some very usable delay and reverb sounds courtesy of the Halo and Hydra from Keeley. You of course can use them in any of the pedals like this you already have, but I urge you to check out these really, really quality stuff. So a few of the delay pedals I've been into recently are the Universal Audio Starlight, great pedal that simulates a lot of classic delay sounds, extremely accurate, a lot of horsepower in this pedal. And for a simpler delay, a 3-knob AquaPuss from Way Huge could be a really, really good option for you too. The Universal Audio Golden Reverberator is another great reverb pedal, and the Earthquaker Dispatch Master is also very cool as well because it has reverb and delay in it. And if you want some more atmospheric stuff, this one does it really, really well. I got through that video and didn't mention the tuner. I have a TC Polytune on here, but I really love the Peterson Strobostomp. I got it for this board and it just didn't fit size-wise, so I had to use my old Polytune, which is also a great tuner. But if you want an amazing strobe tuner, check this one out too. That's some of my favorite stuff that I've been digging, guys. I didn't get a chance to put a lot of those on this board, ran out of real estate, but we heard that we have plenty of sounds available on this, and it's a lot of fun to play. I'm enjoying getting to know all the pedals as I put them through the paces. So don't forget to download the track, check out the link for 40% off of that major pentatonic course, and drop me comments. Tell me what you love about different delays and reverbs, how you like to set them, all that kind of stuff. I love hearing your opinions and your thoughts, as everyone's is different. And if you made it this far, you liked it, you got some good stuff out of it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.